Okay, so for the functions, let's have more example. So if you remember last time we had a function that returned two values, right? So KEMOM with M and V, right? So now I'm going to define some formula here for KE and MT, let's say M multiply V, and then we can return this in a dictionary format, which is very interesting. So last time we could return them in a tuple form, right? Now we can make them like a dictionary and have the key and values for them. So returned, and now I want to say result is equal to kinetic movement 3 and 6, for example, and I'm going to say print the result that belongs to actually this one, I should not have a space after that, KE, and then I can say return the result that belongs to MT. Oops, what did I do wrong now? Oh, I should have them in a string format. Okay, so it returns the value of these, returns the value of the key KE. This one also returns a value for MT. Okay, so now another example. Let's say we have a list with none. 1, 2, 3, and none is a reserved word in Python. So it can be used to signify missing data. And 5. So none can be used to detect signify missing value. And then I'm going to print our list to see what we have, how it's going to print out. And then I'm going to say for I in the list if I is none, print missing value, and then else print I. So I is going to go through the list. I will be 1, 2, 3, and none, and 4, 5, right? For each of them, it will check the I. If I is none, then print missing value, right? So this is which is a reserved value, right? So now let's try equal. So these are doing the same thing. So is doing the same job as is equal to. Okay, so there are two ways for equality. One is, another is the double equality, like this one. So using is in expression, and then I'm going to write down here using equality. Okay, so the difference is that is will check whether two objects are pointing to the exact same thing in memory, but double equality checks whether two objects have the same content. So this is the difference between these two. So is will check to see if they are pointing to the same memory, but double equality will check if the content of these two are equal. So let's see more example of this. Let's say x is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, and then y is also equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we want to say print x plus str of x, and then y equal to str of y. Okay, what did I do wrong now? Y, capital Y. Okay, so it's going to print out x and y, and now we want to check equality. Say x equal y plus now str. We're going to see what is the response in this situation, and then next time we want to check is, and instead of this one we are going to write down is, and then what is going to do next time we are going to check two x values, right? So now let's see what happens. So this is going to print out true, right? So it's equality. The values of x and y are equal, right? So this is going to return true. This is going to return false. Why? Because the address memory for x and y that saves this array and saves this list are different, right? Because these objects are stored in different locations in the memory, right? But these two says true. Why? Because they are stored in the same space on the memory, the same location, sorry, on the memory. Okay, so these objects are in the same memory location. Okay, so what we want to do, we want to say now I'm going to create another variable. This creates z to point to the same memory location, And then now let's print Z plus str Z, capital Z. Okay, it's going to print out Z. Now we want to try to see if Z is Y by using str. Z is Y capital, and then we want to do the same thing to Z and X to see what will happen. Okay, so now you see Z is Y, yes, because this is going to get the memory location of Y. So this is true because Z and Y both pointing to the same memory location now, right? And then here obviously false because they are pointing to the different memory location. Okay, this is about ease and equality. Okay, so keyword arguments. Some function arguments can be given default values so that they don't need to be explicitly mentioned in a function. They are called keyword arguments. Okay, so basic syntax of a function definition with keyword will be just one extra argument in a function. So let's say this is argument 1, argument 2, and then k w a r g 1 equal true, then k w a r g 2 equals 0, and then print this. Okay, so the keyword argument must be listed after any non-keyword arguments in definition. And then if the keyword argument is not mentioned in the call, it adopts the default value. Also, keyword argument may be presented in like different order, not the same. Okay, so example. Let me make this. Okay, what is the example for that? Let's see. Define new function, and then we have argument 1, argument 2, kw argument 1 equal true, then kw argument 2 equals 0, and then print them. And then now let's see what happens. So I'm going to use new argument. I'm going to say 3, 4, kw argument 1 is equal to false. So what happens here? Oh, what did I do? for print it's not valid. So we're going to remove this. Okay, so what happens by default, it's going to print out the keyboard argument that is already mentioned there, even though we didn't mention it here, right? And what else? So now let's say now keyboard 2 is -1. So what happens? It's going to print out the default of the function keyboard argument 1, which is true, right? Even though we didn't mention. So we didn't mention keyboard argument 1 here. We didn't mention keyboard argument 2 here, but it prints the default given to the function. So default was this one, right? So here also, but it prints the default of keyboard argument 2, and here also default of keyboard argument 1. Okay, so now if let's say we don't mention neither of them, it's going to print out the default of both of them, right? And then now let's say we are going to print out them in different order. So now I'm not following the order. So you know that when we are printing a function, we must follow the order in this form. So if you are writing 3 and 6 in this function that we written here, 3 is M, V is 6, 6 is V. So the order matters. Order matters. M is 3 and V is 6, right? But here, order for keyboard argument, order doesn't matter. So as you see, 9 went to the place that prints KW argument 1, and then 4 went for the keyboard argument 2, right? Okay, so if let me see. Okay, so I think that's all I wanted to talk about keyboard argument. And let's see what else we have in here. Okay, so let's see some example from the book. Okay, so this example is going to be about cube function. Okay, so we are going to define cube volume and then side length, and then we are going to say volume is equal to side length power 3, and now return the volume, and then result 1 is going to be cube volume of, for example, 3, and result 2, let's say cube volume of 8, right? I can print this result 1 and then print result 2, but we can add that the cube volume of volume with length what? Okay, length. I want to make it actually much better. Let me say x is equal to 3, and then I'm going to give the x to the function, and then I'm going to print x here, and then I'm going to say is. So see what I'm doing, and then y is equal to 8. I'm passing this y to the function, and I'm going to print the result 2, but this time I'm saying the cube volume with length y is something, right? So let's see what happens. It will get 3, and then put the 3 in the function, calculate the function, and then in the print function we pass x, and we write some string here, and then calculate the result of function when the value of function is x. So I could directly write this here instead of result 1, and then I could directly write this here instead of result 2, right? So I could do both of them. Let me do both of them for you. So here we could even directly put this in the print function. Oops, what happened? Okay, good. So as you see, we can make it like more detailed when we are printing this out. Okay. For participation point, consider the function below. What is the value returned by the call compute result 3 and 6? Well, I don't want to do that now because it will indent for me. I like it. Okay, compute result value 1, value 2, and then result is equal to value 1 plus value 2. Then, do you remember this? So now return the result. Okay, so tell me what is the output of this function first of all. Second, comment out each line of this function for me and explain what is happening inside this function. Okay, so that is about function part 2. We'll see you in next lecture.